This is another video. This one is actually on compound interest. Compound interest is a little bit more complicated than simple interest, and actually it's simple interest done, time and time again, so that the interest is actually added to the amount that you owe, so that you actually owe more interest and then interest on your interest. Does that make sense? Anyway, we'll keep going. So as I said, the interest gets added to your principal, so you earn interest on your principal and on any interest earned as well. So the amount of interest also increases as well. So that's where things get higher and higher. I don't know what that is. So yeah, your actual amount that you either owe or have gets higher and higher. This is still true. This A equals I plus P. That's still true. We can still work that out. To work out the compound interest, we actually need to use this formula here. It looks a bit complicated, but it's not too bad. So A is the total amount. It's different from simple interest, because simple interest you had I equals PRT over 100, and that just told you the interest. Whereas in this case, we're actually going to get told the total amount. If you want to know the interest, you have to put it back up into this formula and do some special things up here. So the total amount is going to be equal to the principal multiplied by 1 plus R, again the rate as a percentage, divided by 100 times n, and then n times, it's all to the power of n times t. T is time, so again in years. N is actually how many times it's calculated per year. So if it says per quarter, that means there's 4 quarters in a year, so n would be 4. If it says half yearly, then obviously n would be 2, because there's 2 halves in a year. If it says monthly, then it would be n would be 12, because there's 12 months in a year. If it says daily, then n would be 365, because there's 365 days in a year, forgetting about leap years. Okay, let me show you an example of this question. Imagine I've got $10,000 invested at 5% per annum, calculated monthly, for 2 years. So this one, is compounded interest. And so what we have, I have to write down all of these things here, because otherwise I don't know what I'm actually looking for. Because sometimes I'm looking for A or P or R or N or T, but I'm actually, in this case, I'm looking for A. I want to know how much I've got at the end of 2 years. So I put down all the things I know. P, 10,000, R, 5%, N, well, let's work out that in a second. T is 2 years, calculated monthly. How many months are there in a year? There's 12, so N is 12. Then I simply put that into this formula here. 10,000 times 1 plus 5 over 12 times 100, which ends up being 1200, all to the power of 2 times 12, which ends up being 24. And now I'm going to put that in my calculator and get that answer. Okay, so it's 10,000 times 1 plus, and if I want to get the fraction, I push control and then the divide sign. The control is up the top left, sorry, you probably can't see that, but top left. And then I do, it's 5 over 12 times 100, all to the power of. Now, how do I do the power? The power is the little hat symbol, and I'll try and get that. There we go, that little hat symbol there. That means to the power of, so I can push that, and then it's to the power of 2 times 12, like that. Now, I'm going to push enter, and I'm going to see what I get. And I get something messy. You might not get that messy thing on your calculator, but for me, it's not as messy, so I have to push control equals, but you probably got the answer nicely, and it's not quite there. I'll move. There we go, that's the answer that I got, $11,049.41. Okay, so that's how much you would owe. If you wanted to know the amount of interest that you received, you could just subtract 10,000 from that and get the answer, which was $1,049.41. Okay, so let's go back to our other page. Okay, now I want to tackle a slightly different question, same formula, just a slightly different question. I want to work out how much I would have to invest, how much would I have to put in the bank if I wanted to have $15,000 after 5 years. That's 7% per annum, per year, calculated every 3 months. Okay, so again, I'm going to use the same formula. A equals P1 plus R over 100N, N times T. But this time I need to find out something different. So I'm going to put down all the things that I know. I'm going to put A, P, R, N, T. I'm going to write down which ones I know, which ones I don't know. Hopefully you know most of them. Well, T, 5 years, I saw that pretty almost straight away. And I saw rate at 7%, so I'll put that in, 7%. And it says, N calculated every 3 months, so that's kind of my N. It's not 3 though, because it's how many times would that happen in a year if it's every 3 months? That would actually happen 4 times per year. So N ends up being 4. Okay. Now, I guess the question now is, do I have A or do I have P? In the previous question, I was told I had $10,000, so that's how much I started with. That was my P. In this case, I actually don't know how much money I've got, because that's the question. How much money would I have? So it's slightly different. In this case, I actually know what I want to have. I know the total amount, and I don't know the principal. So that's the thing I don't know. Again, I can put all of this into into the formula and put that on my calculator, and everything should be fine. So 15,000 equals P times 1 plus R over 100 times 4, all to the power of 4 times 5. Now I'm going to put this into my calculator, but you need to do something a little bit special. Let's go. Now I need to tell you actually how to solve things on the calculator. So what you need to do is push menu 3, 1, which is solve, or you can type the word solve if you want to, but I think it's probably easier to do menu 3, 1. We push solve, and then we put in our formula. And from memory it was 15,000 equals, and the equal sign is just underneath the control sign. You can't see it on my calculator over here, but it's just underneath the control sign. That equals P, and you can just push the button P, which is down on the keyboard, times bracket 1 plus, and then do the fraction 7 I think it was, and then 100 times 4, end the bracket, all to the power of, again using that power thing, I think it was 4 times 5. If you push enter at this point, it will come up with this. Too few arguments, doesn't know what it's talking about. The reason is because your calculator doesn't actually know what to solve it for. You need to tell it what to solve it for. It's smart, but it's not that smart. You actually need to say, comma, P. Because what that means to the calculator is, I want you to find out what P is. Okay? So if you push comma P, it will find out what P is. If you were doing another one, if you were trying to find R or N or whatever else, you would put comma P, or comma R or comma N, whatever it is you're trying to find. Push enter. Again, sorry, I've got my calculator on a slightly different setting, so I will just try that again. Okay, I'm back. I push enter, and I should get that $10,602. So after 5 years, if I want $15,000, I'd need to put $10,602 in the bank and not even touch it, and it would eventually get to $15,000 after 5 years. Okay, so I'll just write that down, 10,602.37. So P is 10,602.37. I guess it's a dollar sign, isn't it? Okay, so we can use that solve function on the calculator together with this formula to work out any of A, P, R, N or T. Okay, so hopefully that has helped. The next video I'll compare simple interest and compound interest.